So, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all staying safe. It's been quite a long time since we conducted an event from Google DSC on any technical webinar. And since a lot of juniors and first years are here, we're going to start off with a very quick introduction session on what is Google Developer Student Clubs. So, I'm Niran. I'm the Google DSC lead of REVA University. I'm a cybersecurity teaching assistant at RACE and also a full stack developer. Feel free to contact me if your proficiency is needed in any of these fields. So, first off, what is Google DSC and what are its goals? And Google DSC as a club in REVA University, what we are going to do. So, in the coming slides, I will help you to understand what we as a club are going to help you with and how DSC will bring a change in your developer life. So, mainly at DSC REVA, you will learn all about the latest technologies. It does not necessarily need to be something related to Google. You will learn something related to different technical topics and all different kinds of technical knowledges that are available in the world. And then we help you make projects by yourself or alone. We bring up technical topics, for example, Google Cloud Platform, and give you rewards for completing certain tasks on time. We help you participate in contests such as hackathons and then ideathons, wherein you can give in your ideas, pitch in your ideas, and earn rewarding points, money, and a lot of other goodies. We help you find like-minded people. This is what is very hard to find nowadays. It's very hard to find a person who helps you to form a team with yourself and then work on a project of your interest. So using our community groups, we help you find a lot of like-minded people and you receive guidance from us. We have an array of seniors around you and Google developers who will be constantly helping you to learn a lot. Since we are related directly to Google, who is a worldwide, you know how big Google is. So you get guidance from a lot of Google experts and Google professional developers all around the world. And then you contribute towards open source. Most of the amazing platforms that you use today are open sourced. So we help you to understand what open source is, conduct events such as Hacktoberfest, and help you to grow yourself in a true manner. And not just that, we also have a lot of exciting international competitions, scholarships, internships, webinars, and a lot more opportunities which you can grasp from Google and related technologies and grow yourself to a larger extent what you have never dreamed of. And like I told, why you should be a part of DSC. Mainly, first off, unlike most other clubs or other events or websites, we do not charge you for any money. All of our events are free. And we help you to solve real world problems, give you a platform to showcase it, help you to get worldwide exposure, go to premier events such as Google I/O, and build a community of people whom you love. And how does DSC actually work? And how we network among with each other. So for that, you need to understand what kind of sessions we conduct. Firstly, we conduct hands-on workshops. Here, mainly Google experts or professional technical qualified persons will come and help you work on these workshops. Absolutely free. And second one, solution challenge. I'm sure most of you are aware of it during our recent campaign a few months before. So solution challenge primarily helps you to learn new developer technologies for free from Google and helps in solving one of the real world problems. Around 50 top teams from the world will be qualified for the finals, where you earn a lot of goodies and prizes, such as a Google Chromebook, $2,000, an opportunity for internship at Google, and lots and lots. And expert tech talks, like one we are going to have in some time, where our team member Anurag is going to help you to learn React.js. We are going to have a lot of tech talks in the coming few weeks. Explore ML. This is another premier event that's going to happen in a few more months where you learn a lot about machine learning. Cloud Study Jams. Again, that's a place, if you are a second year student, you'll be aware of how last year you were able to earn a lot of goodies through Google Study Jams. And then boot camps. So the benefits of becoming a member, like I told, everything included before. Plus, it helps you improve your skills, gets you a chance to build your projects, and gets you help recognized for the work you do, because recognition is what matters in the end. And access to a lot of resources for free. For example, you get around $100 of credit worth of Google Crowd. And then you also get to know about other free opportunities like GitHub Student Developer Pack, which a lot of juniors wouldn't know. So the benefits, like I told, knowledge, certification, swags, goodies, all the interesting stuff. And Google Cloud Credits, like I told you, we provide Google Cloud Credits for you to work for free. And then quick labs where you can improve yourself and develop yourself. And then, yeah, because of the pandemic, we did not conduct anything since the past 1.5 years. But then we also have a lot of community sessions where a lot of like-minded people group up. For example, during the 2019, we had the fest in REVA University, and also we had Developer Weekend. So a lot such conferences like that. And then who will be managing everything? We have an array of team members who are expert in a lot of different fields. If you see, each of us are proficient in one or the other field, and which covers almost any of the domains that you might be working on. So we are always here to help you out. And then the whole community here, not just us, other team members, other normal members, other community members, are always there to help you out. And then we also have our seniors who are mentors and are players at real good companies and at positions who will be helping you out in the day-to-day life of yours. And then you might be thinking, what if I'm a part of other club? For example, I'm a part of Road Club or IEEE Club. Can I be a part of DSC? Absolutely yes. Even we allow open source. We allow you to interact with other technologies. By Google, we just don't mean that you need to use only Google Cloud Console. We also help you to learn AWS. We help you to learn Microsoft Azure. Just to give you a few examples. And then how will we conduct everything? Given the pandemic situation, for the few months, we'll be conducting it on these platforms. And then how does Google help solve real world problems, you might ask? We just spoke about solution challenge a few minutes before. So what you do in solution challenge, you register for the program, you build your platform or your application, and then you submit it, and then you celebrate. How do you celebrate? By a lot of recognition from Google, internship opportunities, mentoring opportunities, and then certifications, and then prize monies, just to name a few. And then how will I receive newsletters? You might be excited by the short crash course I just gave you on Google. So how can I be a part of all this? How can I be a team member? How can I be a core member? I'm getting a lot of requests about the same. So you can always join us by becoming a member. It's absolutely easy and free to become a Google member. And then just go here, and then I'm pretty sure almost all of your members here. And then how do I stay connected? By joining our WhatsApp groups. All are interesting topics, or what upcoming webinars that are going to come, or if there are any internship opportunities, or if there are any other cool webinars or technical workshops that are going to happen offline or online, we will be sharing it here. And then let's talk about something really important that has been happening in the group since a few days, the do's and don'ts. Firstly, you cannot say that you're associated with Google. We are seeing a lot of people on Google, on LinkedIn platforms, telling that I'm a part of DSC and I'm working with Google. You're not working with Google. You're a part of DSC REVA. Feel free to put that you're a part of DSC REVA, but do not mention the word Google anywhere, because you're not working for Google, but you're a part of DSC REVA. And then will I get certificates? Nope. We are not mainly focusing on certificates, but then if you're actually participating in a premier event like a hackathon or a codathon or something like that, you definitely get certificates. But for attending sessions, we do not think that's necessary, because we always think knowledge is better than certificates. And then if you register for something, please make sure you attend it. We are making everything free of cost, but then it does not mean that it's coming for free for us. We have to request a lot from the university, spend our time and efforts to come up with the events. So please make sure if you register, attend it. And then do not disrespect anyone. It's an open community. And then paid promotions aren't allowed, especially the ones like intern shala promotions, which we are seeing a lot in the past few days. Please do not do that. If you're not doing that, well and good, but if you're doing that, please understand that these might be a spam for others. So yeah, that's all about the rules here. And then to give you a small brief of the past events that we have conducted, the first one would be the 30 days of Google Cloud program, which happened around the month of November. And people learned a lot here. It was a whole 30-day program, and then they were able to learn a lot on Google Cloud Console, on AI ML, and on data analysis. And then you had these goodies which are provided to participants who completed it. And then came up the Hacktoberfest online meetup during the month of October, which will be happening again this year in the month of October. And then we had REVA Hack 2020, a premier conference, and for the first time we hit around 3,000 participants all over the world. So REVA University was able to come up with such a premier hackathon mainly because of DSC and Hackathon Club. And then such kind of premier events happen only through DSC REVA and other partner clubs of ours. And then we had DSC Wow. This was one of the best events ever conducted in India, where around 40,000 students all over the world participated in DSC Wow and made it one of the biggest hackathons ever made. And then Solution Challenge and Hash Code, which we spoke about a few months before. And then recently, last week, we had the Google Developer Student Clubs meetup at Google I/O, where we spoke a lot about how to make yourself productive, how to learn more, and how to stay efficient. And now we are having a tech webinar series where we have a lot of amazing speakers lined up. To give you a hint, we also have just a small hint. We have someone from NVIDIA coming up to teach you how to use the Jetson Nano kits. Sounds amazing, right? So we more on that we'll be filling you with later. So if your queries right now you might be muted, feel free to put it in the chat box or we will let you unmute after the end of session by Anurag. And again, if you want to join, you can always take a screenshot of this and then join us. Thank you for listening to me. I'm Niran signing off, and now I give the session to Anurag to continue.
Thank you, Niran. Let me share my screen. Is it visible?
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay. So, hello everyone. I am Anurag Sharan, student at REVA University and the tech lead at DSC REVA. Today, in the first iteration of the DSC webinar series, we are going to start with React.js. This is going to be an introductory session, and it is just to give you the basics of React so that you can get started with it. The more advanced concepts will be covered later. So here we'll be learning about you can build websites with React and how you can how is React better than different other libraries and also vanilla JavaScript, which is like the plain JavaScript. So before going into the React session, there are a few prerequisites. Like you need to know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. As React for React.js, we need all these three things. So if you know that, then the sessions will be easier to follow. And that's it. So at the end, there is also a small hands-on session. So you can make a basic React application. So you can be ready for that, or else you can just follow on along with me. So I'll be doing it so you can understand more about React.js. So let's get started. Yeah. So what is React? So before learning anything, we learn what is that thing. So React is a JavaScript library which is created by Facebook. It is currently one of the most popular JavaScript libraries and has a strong foundation and large community behind it. It was actually created by a developer at Facebook called Jordan Walk. And now, after he has created the base, now over 1,000 open source contributors have worked upon it. So it is a highly polished piece of code that you can implement in like big production websites as well as small websites like you build for hackathons and stuff. So it is a tool for building UI components. So what is a UI component? Anything that you can see on an app or a website is called a UI component. So a header or a footer or some text, all of those are UI components. So you can build UI components using React. It also follows component-driven development methodology. This methodology was popularized by React, actually. So what is it? So in CDD, what you do is instead of creating the whole web page in one go, what you do is we divide the whole web page into different components and build that. So I'll show you in a later slide what components look like. And so basically in CDD, we build the website from ground up. So we build the different components and then piece them together to build a whole website or an app. So let's go to the next slide. What can we do using React? So if you are learning React, you need to know what you have to do with it, what you can do with it. So it is a very powerful tool. As you can see, React can be used in the development of web as well as mobile applications. So today we are going to focus on the web side of it, which is React.js. But there is also React Native, which you can learn. And most of the concepts of React Natives are very similar to React. So when you are learning React, you can think of it as you learning to how to do web development as well as mobile development. And using React Native, you can also create Android and iOS applications. So you don't need to learn separate languages for it. For example, in Android, you need to learn Java or Kotlin. And in iOS, if you want to develop native applications, you need to learn Swift. So instead of learning all these different things, you can just learn React Native and build in Android as well as iOS. So this is a big advantage of using React. So I hope you are all excited about learning React now. So let's go with a real-time example. Most of you must have not known that Instagram is created using React. So this is the Instagram page of REVA University. So as you can see, this is the basic Instagram page. But now I'll explain you how the component-driven development is done in React. So as you can see here, this is the search component. So we can build the search component separately in React. So similarly, this is the profile description component. This is the stories component. This is the post list component, and this is a single post component. So these are just the components, and also there are other components like this profile and this header image and all these things. But I've highlighted a few of them. So if you can notice, we can have one component inside of others. So these are like just the building blocks of React. So if you have made one single post component, we can reuse it to create others like this one here and this one here. So this is how React makes it easier to develop a whole website, because you have reusable components that you have made earlier and you use them instead of writing the whole code again and again. Also, as you can see, like this component is inside other component called post list component. So components can be embedded inside other components. It's like HTML tags that you create yourself. So I'll explain more about it later. So this was just to give you a perspective about how development in React works. So let's go move on to the features of React. First of all is the virtual DOM. If you know about JavaScript and how you use JavaScript with HTML, you must know about DOM. So what DOM is, it is the document object model. It is how a web page is represented in JavaScript. So it treats the document as a tree structure in which each node is a part of the document. Here in this figure, you can see this is the root HTML root element, which is the HTML tag. This is the head tag, and inside the head tag we have title and the text inside the title tag. So these are the different things that a DOM has. So if you want to change these components in like vanilla JavaScript, which is like regular JavaScript, we use this document object and we change this. We select. So what we do is we select the different elements using the document object, and then we change the value of those elements in regular JavaScript. So what the problem with regular JavaScript is, like it is really slow to manipulate the DOM. So the solution that React brought is virtual DOM. So React keeps a lightweight representation of the real DOM in the memory that is known as the virtual DOM. Manipulating the virtual DOM is much faster than manipulating the DOM because nothing gets drawn on screen. So instead of changing everything simultaneously whenever some change is there in the variables in our JavaScript, what we do is when the state of an object changes, virtual DOM only changes that object in real DOM instead of updating all the objects. So if you want to change this text, we don't have to re-render all of these things again in the DOM. We just have to re-render this text, which is my header. So this is how React makes web pages faster using virtual DOM. So this is one of the core features of React upon which it is built. The next is JSX. So what is JSX? JSX is a syntax extension to JavaScript, and it is used with React to describe what the user interface should look like. By using JSX, you can write HTML structures in the same file that contains the JavaScript code. So regularly what we do is we create an HTML file and a JavaScript file, and we link both of them together to add the functionality to that web page. But in React, we don't have HTML files separately and JavaScript files separately. We just have one JSX file inside of which all of the HTML and JavaScript is written together. How we do that, we'll explain in the next slide. So JSX also helps in making the code easier to understand and debug it, as it avoids the usage of DOM structures. So as I told you before, in DOM, we have to select an element using DOM and then change its value, which becomes really redundant and complex. So instead of doing that, JSX simplifies the whole process a lot. So this is an example of JSX. So as you can see, these are HTML. This looks like HTML, right? So this is a div tag, this is a paragraph tag, this is a button element, and all that. But if you notice, these are these things which are highlighted by purple. These are JavaScript components. Like the count is a variable in JavaScript, and this is an arrow function, which is available in ES6 JavaScript. So we can use JavaScript inside of HTML using JSX. So the definition of this count and set count is not mentioned in this slide. We'll deal with all those technicalities later. This was just to explain you how JSX looks like. So in a nutshell, HTML plus JavaScript equals to JSX. Next is components. So components are the building blocks of any React application. So a React application consists of multiple components, as I explained you earlier. So to build that component, we need to know what a component is. So now we are going to learn about what a single component is. So components let you split the UI into independent reusable pieces and think about each piece in isolation. So if you want a counter component, like something which counts the number each time you click on it. So for that, the variables and all that you need in that component will be restricted to that component. So you don't need to have a global variable which you have to search in JavaScript and then change that. You change everything in the component inside of the component itself. So these are independent objects. Also, React components can be implemented using either JavaScript functions or classes. So yeah, there are two types of components that React provides. One is using functions and other is using classes. So functional components are more common nowadays because it's a new feature and everybody uses that. But you will also find class components and in older versions, and it is also fairly used practice nowadays. So we can learn about class components as well, but we'll be covering about functional components. So also in components, we can have inputs. So if you want a component to behave differently in different parts of the application, then you need to give them some input about what this thing is. So for example, if you want a component to render a text written in different format. So for a component should render a text in red. So you cannot hard code the text inside of the component because you need it to be reusable. So in that case, we will give the inputs to the component, and that component, the input is called props, and the component will take that input and then render it according to your style that you want. So this must be a little bit confusing, but when we go on to the coding part, this you will understand better. So in a nutshell, what a component does is it renders the JSX it returns the JSX that needs to be rendered into the page as HTML. So as we learned earlier, JSX is a combination of HTML and JavaScript. But to view the page in the browsers, we need just the HTML part, right? So the JSX, the component returns the JSX as HTML. So this is a whole component. So as I told you, there are two types of components: functional and class. This is a class component. So here I'll explain each and every line. So first, we are importing React and use state from React. So you don't need to worry about use state right now because it's a advanced concept which is hooks. We'll cover that later. Right now, we'll just see what is being done in this class in this function. So here, as you can see, this is a normal JavaScript code. This is an import statements. This is a function. And inside a function, what we are doing is we are having a state variable, which we call count. So what useState does is it returns a variable and a setter for that variable. So this is a count, and this is a function that can be used to change the value of this count variable. And we are giving it an initial value of 0. Also, why we need this? Because we need to display it on our website. So whatever the code we add here, as you can see, this is the same code that I explained you earlier. So this is the JSX part of the code, and this will be returned to the website. So inside of this count times, you click count times. Initially, the value of count will be 0. So it will render you click 0 times. So but inside this button, which says click me, whenever you click on that button, this on-click event triggers when the button is clicked. This is an arrow function which takes no properties, and what it does is this function calls the function set count and increases the value of the initial count. So what this code is doing is whenever you click on this click me button, the value of this count variable is increasing, and that is being displayed here. So you click 0 times, 1 times, 2 times, and so on. So this is an example of a functional component, and these are the basic comments that you can see in JavaScript. So yeah, this is how you write a functional component in React, and you'll understand much better when I explain it in the hands-on session later. So this is just to give you an overview. So let's go to the hands-on session in React. So first of all, I'll tell you how to set up your development environment. So the prerequisite that you require for this is you should have Node.js in your computer installed, and you should have Visual Studio Code and a web browser. So I use Chrome. You can use any other web browser. So I can show you how you can install Node.js. So if you can just go to nodejs.dev. Here you can download the Node.js LTS version and install it. Also, you can install VS Code from code.visualstudio.com. So VS Code is an IDE, and you must have used it for other programming languages like C++ and normal web development using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And we can use it for React as well. So why I am using VS Code instead of others like Atom and all, because I like the it is my preference because I like the code completion in VS Code. You can use other services like Atom as well. So let's start with the Hello World application in React. First of all, you need to create an empty folder anywhere we can like, and I named this folder counter as this is the counter project that we are doing. You can right click on the folder and open it with VS Code. So yeah, this is opened in VS Code right now. Here you can see the terminal. But before going into the project, we need to install some extensions that will make coding in React easier in VS Code. So let's go to the extensions part here. Here you can install ES. If you type ES7, you'll see this extension, ES7 React Redux GraphQL and React Native snippets. Just install it. And what this does is it provides code completion for React, using which you won't have to write like repetitively the parts of the code that are like the. It will provide you the skeleton of the code that you can write in. So it makes development in React easier. Okay, so you'll see how it is used later. So to open up this terminal, if it is not open, you can press Control and the button above Tab. So that opens this one. And here, the code to now we have to initialize our React application. So to initialize React application, I'll be using the create React tabs script. So I'll show you the create React tab script here. So it is provided by React.js itself. So Create React app is a tool using which you can like bootstrap the React application. It provides you with the skeleton of any React application, and this is what many use. You can use other scripts like Next.js as well, but I'll be covering it using Create React app. So this is the code to initialize a project in Create React app. So it's npx create-react-app, and then you will have to write a project name. So the project name I'm giving it as counter. And it is initializing. It can take some time. In the meantime, if any of you have any questions regarding React, the introduction that I told you, you can ask me. Okay, it threw an error because I named it using capital letters. You'll have to name it using a small letter. As you can see, it is creating a new React app here. Yeah, so it's complete. Now, as you can see, a folder has been created which has all of your project files. So I'll explain all of these files right now. So this is the Node modules folder. If you know about Node.js, whenever you create a new, uh, whenever you install new libraries using npm, it installs them locally using in the Node modules folder. So as you can see, there are a lot of libraries that React uses. So all of this is automatically installed for you by React. You don't need to worry about this folder. We won't be changing any files here. This is the public folder. So this is all of the files that will be displayed on our web page. But this only creates the consists of the static files that are not changed by us. So we will be changing. We can change the title of our web page here and some meta tags if you want to add, like you add in normal HTML. So all of that can be changed in this index.html. I'll explain more about this later. So as you can see, that there is a root tag here, but there is nothing inside this root tag. Root tag. So all of the things that we write in React, all of it will be replaced instead of this root tag. I'll show you where. This is the source folder. This is the actual folder where we will be coding everything in. So we will add all the components and all the CSS files here. So inside this, you can see app.js, app.css, app.test.js. So app.js is the app component that React has Create React app has already created for us. So let me show you how it looks like by just doing npm start. Using this command, you can start your development server and you can see everything that is there. Just 1 second, an error is there. Okay, I am currently inside the other counter folder. I'll have to go inside this one, which I have created. So I'll just do cd counter. And now I'm inside that counter folder. You can also just open this in a new folder, new window if you like. So you won't have to do the cd counter. And now I can do npm start here. This will start our development server. So what this development server does is it presents all of the information. As we change the code here and save it, it will refresh our web page automatically. So we don't have to do npm start again and again. So this is a good way to do your development. I'll show you how it works in a second. So till it is starting, let's look at the other files. So in app.js, as you can see, this is a functional component, and this has some of the code that React already gives it to you. So it tells you about the React.js website and everything. So we'll delete everything and make our own website, uh, create our own counter. So yeah, it's compiled and you can view it in the browser right now. So to view the app in the browser, you can go to localhost 3000. Just a second. Yeah. Okay. So this is the basic web page that Create React Apps creates for us. So there's a React logo, a text, edit source / app.js, and save to reload, and a link to the React website to learn more about it. So as you can see, this is the exact code that is written in the app.js component. Here we give the app header class name and all of the CSS. As you can see here, we are importing /app.css. So to include the CSS in the React file, we can just import the CSS file that is here. So / refers to like in the same folder, and in the app.css, this is like the regular CSS that we write for HTML files. So for the app header, this is the CSS that changes the header. So yeah. So this is the app.js, and yeah, so this is the paragraph which contains this edit source slash app.js text, and this is the link. So yeah, so this is all of the stuff that it is there. Also, as I told you, in the index.html file, everything that you write here will be replaced inside this part. So how are we doing that? So what are we doing is we are just exporting the app function from this file. So in Node.js, you can export and import functions. So here we are from this file, we are exporting the app function. And what this app function does is it returns this part of JSX. So which is the divs and the headers and everything that is displayed on the web page. But we need some piece of code to inject this into the root, right? So for that, the index.js file is used here. So what this does is it imports the app component from this file, as well as it imports the CSS files that are required, and it imports the React DOM library. So what React DOM does is, so as I told you, there are React can be used for either the web development as well as for native development in iOS and Android. So React is the common library in both of those, but for web development, the things specific to web development are inside React DOM. So we use React DOM to manipulate the DOM, which is the document object model that I explained earlier. So here, what we are doing is we are just rendering the app component. So as you can see, the components that we export from here can be used as regular HTML tags. This is the app component with us slash at the end to close the component. And this is the React strict mode component. So if you don't add this, it is no worries, because it's just for showing warnings. So if you remove this, the app will work fine. It's just there to show warnings during development, and it will help with it. And this is the React DOM.render function. So this is the function which takes all of the code in app.js, which is this, uh, and we are using the code here, like using a HTML tag kind of script, and we are just doing this takes two parameters. First is the JSX, which is this part, and the second part is the part of the HTML which we want to render it to. So we are rendering it to the root div. So we are selecting the root div by using the document object. So as we know, the document object from the DOM, and we are using the get element by ID function. So this gets the root element by its ID. The ID of this root element is root. And so we get the entire root div and render everything that is inside the app component inside the HTML here. So this is, we won't be changing this file much, but because this is just used to render the app. So most of the changes we'll do in this app.js file. So yeah, also you can see in the web page, if I do inspect to view the source code of this web page, yeah. Okay. So as you can see, all this part of the script we haven't written ourselves. It is not present in the app component. Uh, the all of this thing, instead of if we collapse the root div, all of this is written in the inside the public inside the index HTML inside the public folder. So all of this code is written there, and just inside of the root div, we are rendering the entire app component. So this div class app is rendered from the app component here, app.js. So this div class name app. Also, one major change with HTML and JSX is that instead of using class, we are using class name here, because class is also a keyword in JavaScript to make a class. So we cannot use class here. So instead of writing class everywhere, just write class name. So yeah, so this is how everything inside the app component is rendered using the index.js. Okay, so let's make our own Hello World application, and for that we'll remove everything inside this thing, which is given by create React app, and save it. And also we don't need this logo here, and we also don't need anything inside this CSS file, right? We'll just keep the text align center. Okay. So we just have an empty component, function component for us. Also, you must be wondering what are these other files. So this logo.svg was for the sample page that they provided. So we don't need that. I deleted that as well. And app.test.js is for implementing testing in React. So the Create React app also comes with a testing library, which you can use to test React. I won't be covering this today, as testing can be covered later in another lecture or a webinar. Also, index.css is linked with index.js. So this provides like the font family that we can use in the React and all that. So these are some CSS things that are provided that are implemented at the root level. Yeah, if you want, you can add fonts here, which will reflect in all of your website. And report web vitals and set up tests. We won't need it for our basic development. Okay, so let's go on with our Hello World application. Here inside the app component, if we just try it. Okay, so right now there is no code completion here, right? Because in VS Code, if you write H1 and you do control space, it shows code completion. But right now, VS Code knows that this is a JavaScript file, so it isn't providing us those code completions which are for HTML here. So to fix that, you can just click here and select JavaScript React. Yeah. So now if you type H1, you'll get your H1. You can do hello world and save it. And as I told you, as you save the file, it will automatically be rendered in your web page. So as you write hello world, it will be rendered here. So let's use the code that we used in our presentation. Just a second. Yeah. So yeah, so this was the counter code that we used. So let's see how this works inside of a real application. So I'll just copy the code inside of this function. And I'll add that code inside this div. Okay, so the return part I don't need because I have all that. Okay, so I have this count variable, so I need to implement that. So we can import. So the count and set count are done using React hooks. It's an advanced concept. Usually hooks are usually before functional components. We used to do it using a state variable in the class, but in function component we use hooks, and I'll show you how. So, as I told you before, the useState function returns a variable and a function that can change the value of that variable. So we need a count variable for this because we need to make a count of how many times this button was clicked. So we'll add a count variable here. And we cannot just directly change this count variable as count plus 1. Why? Because this count variable is a state variable. So when we change the variable, React needs to know that this variable has been changed because it has to refresh the HTML page, right? So for that, we use the set count function. So the name of this function you can define it yourself. So so it's convention that whatever variable name is there, you write set and that variable name, but you can literally write anything like XYZ. It doesn't matter because it returns useState returns these two, and you are just defining your own names here. And inside of the useState, you can provide an initial value for this count variable. I want it to be 0 for now. And now what I'm doing is here I'm embedding this JavaScript variable inside of HTML using these curly braces. So instead of when I don't write these curly braces, this is all a HTML file. So instead of on click in normal vanilla JavaScript, what we did is we just wrote the function name, right? So JS is the function name. But in React, we don't have a separate file for JavaScript. So everything is in the same file. So we need to use the JavaScript functions here. So for that, we use these curly braces in React. So this is what converts a basic HTML code into a JSX. So inside these curly braces, I have a arrow function. So arrow functions are an easier way to write functions in which was provided in ES6 JavaScript. So if you know JavaScript, you should have come across arrow functions. So what it does is you can just give your properties that you want to pass to the function here. I don't have any properties. I don't want to give any properties right now. So it's an empty parenthesis and then an arrow, and then the whatever you want inside this function. So inside this function, I want to call set count. So I want to just increase the value of existing count, which is currently 0, to a higher value. So I'll just do count plus 1. So yeah, so inside this button, we have click me. So click me will be displayed. And whenever I click on this button, the value of the count is incremented by 1 because I have added that inside on click. Also, okay. Okay, so I haven't started this paragraph tag. Okay, so inside this paragraph tag, I need to display how much is the value of the count variable right now. So for that, I can just use the variable name inside of this parenthesis. Okay, I have 2 divs here. Yeah, so the code is working. And if I go to the website here, let's refresh it once. Yeah. So you can see it says you clicked 0 times because the value of count initially is set as 0. And there is a click me button. And in this click me button, what I've done is I've set the count to increment it every time. So when I click this, 0 becomes 1. And right now the value of 1 is the count is 1. So when I click it again, the count is again incremented to 2. So yeah, this is how you can use JavaScript inside of HTML in React. So this was a basic hands-on on how to use React. So there are many more concepts that you can learn in React. This was just an introductory session. So this will be the end of our session. So thank you for being with us. I was Anurag Sharan, and I'm looking forward to more webinar sessions by experts in this webinar series. Thank you for joining.
It was indeed a great session, Anurag. Thanks a lot. We'll be continuing with the series very soon, and Anurag will be continuing with the series like now. You saw it was just a hello world program. We'll be going ahead with React.js this Wednesday, wherein Anurag will be diving further into how you can utilize React efficiently and use the React components to the best possible way. Thank you guys, and we hope to see you again this week. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute and ask. I don't know why the chat box is not working. I'll fix it the next time.